It's BBC, Hereford and Worcester. Now, Rose McClelland's Under Your Skin is, well, pretty much everything that you want from a summer thriller. Even if your summer spends in the garden rather than a beach, it's a kind of twisty whodunit and how and especially why. Under Your Skin follows the investigation of a missing woman in Belfast, a town where everyone wants to help and everyone has a theory, and it's one of those books that will definitely keep you guessing. I chatted to best-selling author Rose McClelland.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How has this period been for you, Rose, as a writer, and with this increased appetite for books as we've been trying to fill our time during lockdown? How's the time been for you as a writer?
It's a mixture of seeing how people are struggling and how difficult it is. My book was accepted for publication literally just as lockdown was announced, and the contract was signed like a day or two after. So it's been extremely busy, which I sort of feel guilty saying because, you know, a lot of people have really struggled, especially in the arts. You know, I see so many of my theatre friends really struggling because they can't do anything at the minute. So it's kind of bittersweet, if you know what I mean. With the lockdown, I suppose because, you know, all the bookshops have closed, thankfully there's still Amazon and there's still Facebook and there's still Instagram, so I can still get the word out, you know.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And this one is summer thriller, and again, holidays all a little bit up in the air. A lot of people opting for a staycation or just literally staying at home, putting their feet up in the garden and reading a good book. This one, a summer thriller, a twisty whodunit is how it's being described. It's called Under Your Skin. What's the story?
Yes, it's a psychological thriller, and it starts in the first chapter with a man called Kyle phoning 999 and frantic because his wife has gone missing. And by the second chapter, we know that Hannah is locked in a basement somewhere, but we don't know who has put her there or why. So the story is a kind of slow unravelling of all the secrets and the mystery behind Hannah and why she's been put there. And, you know, the detectives have brought in and they've got various different motives they're looking into. Could it be money? Could it be the husband? What has happened? And so, yeah, it's kind of a thriller mystery.
And in terms of the characters in this, tell us a little more about them, because we've got Hannah, we've got Kyle, and then we've got the detectives in the mix with this as well. Paint a picture for us.
We know that she's in a basement, and we know that she's having all these memories of how her and Carl first met, and she's thinking about him and wondering, you know, what's happening out there. Is there an appeal for her? Kyle is frantic. He has organised this hashtag campaign. And then there's another character called Julia. It is sort of a very lonely person, and she kind of gets involved in the Find Hannah campaign just for something to do. She actually is the sort of integral character in the novel, and she helps the detectives in finding out all the kind of secrets.
That must be wonderful when people really connect with the characters, and for them they're as alive as they are for you when you're creating the book, and they just want a bit more. That must be a lovely feeling.
It is really lovely, and it was something that I hadn't expected at all. I hadn't expected to write a sequel. I'd expected just to write a brand new psychological thriller, but so many people have said, oh, I love the relationship between those two. And so I thought, well, yeah, I'll bring them back then. And of course it makes life a lot easier for me because the characters are already there in my head.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Under Your Skin is the book by Rose McClelland. We'll have more on it after at 9 o'clock this evening right here at BBC Hereford and Worcester. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Hi to more now from our best-selling author Rose McClelland. Her book for this summer is Under Your Skin, and it's pretty much everything that you want from a summer thriller, even if your summer's being spent in the garden rather than a beach, really. It's kind of a twisty who done it and how and especially why. That is the big question. In fact, I asked Rose McClelland about the key themes of the book.
The key themes that are in this book are mental health, addiction, and domestic abuse. And when I sat down to write the book, I wasn't really thinking too heavily about the themes. I was more thinking about writing an entertaining book with lots of twists and turns. But that's the themes that came up in the book, which sounds very heavy. But I mean, a lot of people have been saying that they read the book in a day and a half, and they sped through it. And that was my intention, just to have plenty of twists that keep people turning the pages.
And that is what's so interesting, really, about something like this, because we're kind of looking, I think, now for books where we can do what we do with the telly, you know, when we can just binge watch, when you're just into something so much and you can't put it down, but it's really manageable. And there is so much great drama and kind of detective and this kind of whodunit kind of stuff on TV. And now we're getting it in a book form as well with this, which is just fantastic. Because you have been known for romance books in the past, haven't you?
Yes, I actually started off writing romantic fiction, and my first 3 books were romantic. But the third book was kind of leaning more towards a sort of a psychological thriller. And someone said to me, you know, you should really try writing this different genre. And it really appealed to me. And I found that my tastes were changing. The things that I liked to read were sort of becoming a bit more darker and a bit more edgy. And so I thought, yeah, I'll give this a go. And I really loved writing it.
In terms of the twists and turns, you know, in a plot of a kind of psychological thriller, do you start at the beginning or the end? Does that make sense?
I definitely start at the beginning. And what I do is I read a lot of best-selling psychological thrillers and I study them. I just study how they're plotted. And then I sort of start to think about, okay, what can I do here? What's going to be a good twist? What's going to be something that the reader won't expect? And I've got a fair idea of how it's going to end. I've got it sort of well plotted out, but then you allow the characters to tell you something differently as you're writing as well. You know, you kind of allow to go with the flow of the story.
It's had some cracking reviews here. It will leave you wondering what's really going on behind closed doors. A gripping summer thriller full of twists and turns that will keep you guessing until the very end. If you liked Gone Girl, you will love Under Your Skin by Rose McClelland, which is available now. And you say you're working on the next one?
I am, yes. I am. I'm writing away on it and I'm loving it. Yeah, that review about Gone Girl, I was so happy about that, the similarity to Gone Girl. So yeah, that was really lovely review. There's been some great reviews that have come in. It's fantastic.
Good for you. Good for you. We'll watch this space for the next one. But for now, it's Under Your Skin by Rose McClelland. And if you're looking for a good read, just a kind of bit of escapism, something that will just keep you captivated, this is the one. It's available now. Lovely to talk to you, Rose. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Tammy. Thank you.